Oh, I'm stuck.
So one of these rare pieces that you need to have is the Golden Golan. So Golan gives us status effects, right? So with this piece, you can add a skill tier and get more out of your CC builds with that skill tier. You can see this piece featured on my max blind build, where I have basically infinite skills without cooldowns on that particular build. So this is a very handy piece, and it'll come into play if you're putting together a nice bio build using the biomask, and you want to go with, max out your skill tiers and max out your status effects. So it's not easy to find a good Golan piece that has all yellows on it. I actually have another version too that has status effects and skill haste. And of course, I like running tag team because it just minimizes that cooldowns for those consumable skills like Riot Foam or the Firefly, those CC crowd control type builds. And so when you throw on the skill tier, that usually buffs your status effects duration, as well as decreases the skill haste on most of those skills. So that's why you want that skill tier. But really handy, it creates a lot of flexibility for your build when you can change out the core, right? So let me know if anybody has an all yellow Golan gear and what you use it for. Interested in hearing about that. So Michael Myers says, so glad they never did away with the rainbow gear they were thinking about back before the summit update. That's a funny thing. Really interesting. So we were, as a community, complaining to the devs about rainbow gear for months and months and months and months and months, right? And then what they gave us afterwards was the Memento backpack that was released, with the season immediately following, all that discussion with the devs, which is like the ultimate rainbow gear piece, right? And many argue might be the best exotic gear piece in the game, right? And so that's what's ironic, is that people were complaining, people were threatening to leave the game because they were just sick of the rainbow gear, and then they give us the ultimate rainbow gear. What were the devs telling us with that move? What was that? What were they saying with that move? But I'll tell you what I think they were saying, because what I learned, and this wasn't immediately after they dropped the mementos, many, many months later, but that, well, in my opinion, this is totally in my opinion and my play style as well, is that the best builds are pure rainbows for me, right? Because they balance the survivability and power. And so some of my best builds are you got max repair skills, max crit damage, and max weapon damage or whatever, repair skills or whatever, armor regen or whatever. But they're rainbows, and those tend to be really, really fun when you get that balance just right, because you have the power and the survivability to handle whatever content the game's throwing at you. So that's what's interesting. Really interesting that you brought that up. Because some of these things here that I'll be showing you today will and can create rainbow builds from that. So Stephen Johnson asked, so Tux, is this going to be a weekly thing? Yes. So I do 2 streams at least scheduled every single week, Stephen. On Thursdays I do a members only stream, and then on Saturdays I'm doing one to the entire division community, what you're experiencing here. So I am still playing with times, and I will be doing impromptu streams as well to both members and to the public throughout the week, depending on how the week looks. So yeah, look forward to that. And also make sure you check out the community tab on my channel and have your notifications turned on. And if you're not subscribed, do that now, because I let you guys know when I have content dropping. So make sure you check that out. So Julian Olivos says, I say the Hollow-Man mask. Emperor's Guard knee pads are a must-have. Yep, I would agree with you. And actually we'll be seeing some rare versions of those pieces in this video. So let me show you number 2 on my list, all right? So first was the Golden Golan, right? That's one that I'm saying that you must have for your status effect builds. Gives you a lot of flexibility with your skill tiers. You can switch it back and forth between armor and a skill tier. So number 2 on my list for rare, extremely rare and unique items that you have to have. And I'm calling this one the Crimson Belstone. And so the Crimson Belstone is basically an all red Belstone. And Belstone, as you guys know, gives you armor regen and armor on kill. Those are the 2 attributes that are used most out of Belstone, and the third one it being income and repair, which isn't used as much. But Belstone normally drops with an armor core, and so I fixed it so that we can have weapon damage with it as well. Now the reason why this particular piece is really handy and why you want it in your stash, and it doesn't have to be the mask. As a matter of fact, I recommend that you have a version of this piece for every gear item in your loadout. So like an all red Belstone for your mask, an all red Belstone for your backpack, so on and so forth. So you have the flexibility to add this to your builds depending on which slot can take it. But the reason why you want all red Belstone is because there's that sweet spot. So I've surveyed the Division 2 community, and many of you have told me that you like to run armor on average, for the most part, between 900 and 1.1 million, right, in armor. And that seems to be the general sweet spot in the community. So if you're running the Memento and you want to run 2-piece Belstone so that you can have that 10% armor on kill, you're all of a sudden over your sweet spot. So you're losing some weapon damage because of that, right? You're going to have 3 armor cores, and so by having at least one of these Belstones all red, you can keep your armor at 1.1 million and optimize your weapon output. So that's an example of why you would want to run an all red Belstone. Or if you want to run 6 weapon damage cores and still have 10% armor on kill, then you can do that as well. And so so this is number 2 on my list of not easy to find but worth the grind pieces that you must have. So who has an all red Belstone? Let me know. Curious about that. I'm sure that I'm not the only one that has realized how vital this piece is in the game. Very flexible too. It comes in handy with a lot of different builds. I mean, you can use it on a sniper build. You can use it on an SMG build. It pairs up nicely with the SMGs, shotguns, and assault rifles especially. That's what I recommend this particular piece with out there. So Dispatch says, I think they should ditch attributes and make it all mods. So you have like 4 mod spots. Oh, wouldn't that be nice? Or make the primary attributes roll with anything and allow you to recalibrate in any spot. I totally agree. And that's sort of like, I know it wasn't mods, but you know, in Gear, 1.0, right before they made all those changes to the gear, I think that was, I can't remember exactly when that was. What was that? TU6 when they made title update 6 when they made all those changes. There were a lot more attributes, right, that you can move around. Even the gloves had talents, right? And there's passive talents and active talents on both weapons and gear. And that sort of reminds me of what you're mentioning there. But yeah, I mean, just imagine if you could if you could move things around like you're saying, or allow us to roll more than one attribute. I mean, the gear our builds would be so much more diverse if we had the ability to do that. And it seems simple, and I know it's not on the developer side because they have to account for all the variables, but yeah, I think that's a really darn good idea. Yardward, if I'm saying that right, Hearts. Wow, man, you'll take a piece of gear and an entire concept and change it, laugh out loud. Make it beautiful. This is amazing. Thanks, man. I appreciate you recognizing that. Yeah, man, that's what opens up the build possibilities, right? I mean, so Belstone is a wonderful brand set on its own. As a matter of fact, I think it's probably my favorite brand set in the game. It's really, really useful, right? It just adds you that survivability. And for the most part, it rolls with some sort of red secondary attribute on it. Of course, it comes with armor. And so it's often drops with crits or headshot damage or handling or something like that. So, it comes really handy. It's just a nice balance of power and survivability. And so, to take it to the next level, to change out that core, makes it a completely new and different piece. And you can do that with so much other gear out there too, and completely change your build loadout by just making that one small change to the core. So, yeah, thanks for recognizing that, Matt. Too Far Drew says, just tuning in. Why the mask on your face? So, I am Tuxedo Bandito, if you don't know who I am, and this is actually the mask that my character is wearing in the game. It's an exact replica to the mask that my character is wearing in the game. So just keeping it true to my profile, I guess. So stay in character, as we say, right? Okay, let's take a look at the gear item number 3 for extremely rare but useful pieces. And number 3 is what I call the Red Badger. Now I'm showing it here on the knee pads. It doesn't have to be the knee pads, but you're gonna want at least one Badger Tough piece that is all red. So shotguns have really high base damage, right? And so when you run something like the M870, right, the Mossberg shotgun that just has serious power behind it, And then you put on something like Pummel, which, you know, the standard version gives you, after every 3 kills, it gives you, what is it, 30% weapon damage, maybe 40% weapon damage, but also automatic reload. So it's really important that you're able to 1-2 tap enemies so you can take advantage of that auto reload system and chain kill enemies and groups of enemies that are standing in front of you. So the thing with Badger Tough is they usually come with armor cores, and that makes the your build like really tanky, and then pulls that from that power, and then takes away from your, I guess, chances at activating Pummel. And so being able to add or have weapon damage with crits makes that shotgun really strong, and I don't want to say guarantee, but gives you a better chance at ensuring you activate Pummel when you intend to. So anyways, having an All Red Badger is great also because it pairs up nicely with the Memento, which also comes with an armor core. And so if you're going to run 2 Badger or to get more armor, or 3 and get that armor on kill, and you want to stay within that sweet spot that we discussed earlier, which is, you know, around 1.1 million in armor, you know, which is a good balance of power and survivability, then you don't want too many armor cores. And so this is a way, again, to balance that out. And obviously it's going to be good for, I mean, I know people do run Badgers sometimes for that armor on kill outside of a shotgun build, but obviously this is going to be for a shotgun build. So I know I've come across other people that run red shotgun builds, all red shotgun builds. So I know I'm not the only one in the game that has a red Badger piece. Let me know if that's something you guys have or something you would roll with in your shotgun build. Brandon asked me, how did you come up with your name? Actually, funny. So my little sister had this cat, and she was a really fat cat, you know, but it was like, I don't want to say fat, it was fluffy, right, is what they say. And this cat, his name was Louis, but he was black. It was like all black, but in the front, and again, remember, this is a fluffy cat, fluffy as hell. He had like a kind of like a white chest, and so he looked like he was wearing a tuxedo, so we call him Tuxedo Louis, right? And so, well, but he also had this this like really chill attitude. I mean, he was just a player, this cat, you know what I mean? Just as a player cat, really cool. And you know, I'm not a big cat person, but this is one of the few cats that I just like, man, I like you, cat. I like you. You're a cool cat. Anyway, so when I was coming up with names, you know, just for some reason that kind of crossed my mind, and you know, and I paired it up with Bandito somehow. And so yeah, that's the story behind that. Not too inventive, but that's how we came up with the name. So Wineb says we should enforce a veto to reverse some of the nerfs they have imposed upon us, like the Bulwark set that used to be 3% armor regen to 1%. I remember when they did that. Still don't know why they didn't just go with 2%. You know why? Yeah, good point. Why didn't they compromise? But that was all PvP, man. You know, they nerfed it because of PvP. PvP in the Division 2 sort of ruins a lot of things for PvE. That's sad, right? That's really sad. But a lot of the changes and nerfs and stuff to gear comes from the PvP side of the world, right? Because people are exploiting it, or, you know, they realized it was too OP, and so they had to nerf things. So, you know, yeah, that's what's really hard about a game that uses, you know, skills and, you know, brand talents and then weapons. You know, there's just a lot of variables, and then you throw that into a PvP situation and the groups and group buffs, and things sort of get out of control. But yeah, you know, I doubt a veto at this stage in the game is going to work. You know, the devs are kind of at this point where they're not really taking too much feedback from the community right now, right? So, but I'm with you, my man. I'm with you. So let's take a look at the next one. So we just saw the Red Badger, right? And so number 4 on the list of gear pieces that are hard to find but worth the grind. And so this one I call the Midnight Alps. It's an All Blue Alps, and it's a backpack. And so for this piece, you're usually going to want to find it for your backpack or your chest piece. And the reason why is because it's really good for shield builds. So, you will see this particular backpack featured on the build that I called the aggressive tank build, and that was using the Deflector Shield. So, Alps on tank builds is really useful if you're running the artificer hive that comes with the technician specialization for max shield regen. So if you put on repair skills and run repair skill mods, you make the repairs that are coming off the artificer that repairs your skills, and your shield is considered a skill. So you're buffing the repair skills for the artificer, and that is basically giving your shield really strong regeneration. So builds like this are used, can be used in legendaries, of course, to take on those 3 chungas, and as you enter the District Union Arena, those types of situations. Also aggro the boss at the end of District Union Arena, and then of course the raids. So boss 4 and Iron Horse tank builds like this are used. And so the stronger your shield is, then the less you have to worry about your character's health and armor on your character. You're really trying to make your shield invulnerable, and then you just have to watch your back. Anyways, and so the adrenaline rush paired up with this gives you that max protection to your character. So when you get swarmed by enemies, you're gonna basically scale up to that threat. Your protection is gonna scale up to that threat. And so your shield is going to be invulnerable, or as close to it as possible, because of all the repair skills, which is shield rejuvenation, right? While it's active, and so and then you got the bonus armor kicking in. So the point is having an all blue Alps is that you're able to have max repair skills, but at the same time peak out your armor. And not have to run not have to run a skill tier, right? You get to peek out your armor, have armor on 6 armor cores. Is the point of this one. So, anyways, if you want to see this backpack in action, then check out the aggressive tank build with the Deflector Shield. Really fun build, by the way. I know a lot of you guys really like the Deflector Shield, so definitely worth checking that one out as well. Let's see, Niles Babao asks, what's a good soloish build for heroics at legendary summits? I've been having a hard time doing that stuff. Well, man, that's a really good question. There's a lot of possibilities out there. A lot of possibilities. It sort of depends on how aggressive you are and how much you like to play. I mean, I think if you're pretty aggressive, you can run a strong Hunter's Fury build with like the Dark Winter. It's got really nice armor on kill, and run the Memento backpack with that, and then you get the buffs from that. That's one way to play. But if you're a skill player, then maybe you want to check out the Game Over build that I put out. About a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. That might be one that's fun to run. Even if you like to play from cover, it comes with a lot of survivability, so give that one a try. But a lot of my builds bring a lot of balance to survivability and power, so they're designed to either run solo, legendary, or heroic, and then stand up as well in group play. So check them out. Just head over to my channel and check out the playlist. The build playlist is what I recommend. Most of the builds that I run will probably handle that scenario you bring up, Niles. So J Ripper X09 says, "You the man working on the Invisi Shield build." Yeah, man, I love Invisi Shield, and I don't always call it out, but many of my builds are actually developed on the Invisi Shield platform. With that kind of like the underlying concept of the build. So, but yeah, Invisi Shield's pretty badass, man. It's one of my signature systems, and for those of you that don't know, Invisi Shield is about a layered system of protection. So for example, it's about like having bonus armor on top of repair skills, on top of protection from elites. And so by doing that, you're giving your basically heals the time it needs to boost you, to get you to max armor, and at the same time minimizing the impact of the enemy on your armor. So anyways, there's quite a few builds out there that are based off of Improvised Shield, but there is one video in particular called Improvised Shield, so you should definitely check that one out to get a good understanding of what that is. Okay, so without further ado, let's check out the next piece. So we just saw the Midnight Alps, which is the All Blue Alps backpack. And so let's take a look at item number 5 that is hard to find but worth the grind. And this is what I call the Knockoff Grupo. So basically, this is an improvised gear piece, and for you guys that have been watching my videos for a while, you know that I use a lot of improvised. So one, improvised saves you a lot of time in farming, right? So when you have improvised, it's so agile, the gear pieces, that you know, when you have pieces like this, you can swap out the mod for crit chance or crit damage, so you can make it a mock Grupo piece or a mock Cheska piece, you know, depending on which attribute you have available to change. You know, you can roll that into skill damage or crit chance or whatever you need it to be. And so there's just a lot of flexibility with these pieces. They're a pain in the butt. This particular one isn't easy to come up with, right? But so basically you look at on this one, as you can see, I went to the crafting station, went to improvised gear, and we're looking at a holster, and I crafted until I got one with max weapon damage, and then it looks like it came with crit hit damage on it as well. And then I rolled on headshot damage, and I change that all the time. Sometimes it's crit chance, sometimes it's something else. And then of course, improvised gear allows you to put on mods. So you see here that I have a crit hit damage mod. So basically this is like a Grupo piece. So the reason why I want to be able to have an improvised piece that mirrors a Grupo piece, so that I can run basically 2 Grupo and get all of that crit damage, right? So if you're looking to maximize your crit damage, then this is a piece that you want in your build. And so improvised pieces can be done really on anything, but where they're really most useful are the gloves, the holster, and the knee pads. And so I recommend that you create this version on all of those gear types, so that the knee pads as well as your gloves. Now, it costs you a lot of resources to create this, unless you get lucky and get one on your first try, right? But that's not going to happen. So brace yourself for that. Make sure that you're stocked up with resources, or you're at that point in the game where you can start spending your resources on crafting gear, and then just have some patience. So I have gotten lucky, and I have gotten something like this in my first couple of rolls, and then on other days, you know, I get nothing. But so you know how I approach improvised gear is I basically step up to the crafting bench. I give it a roll a couple of times, and you know, if I don't get anything that's worth keeping in the first 5 to 8 crafts, then I abandon it and just come back a different day, right? But if I see that it's paying out decently, then I'll keep going, and I'll just keep going at your allies directly. So what it does is give you basically, it allows you to suck up more repairs from your repair hive, fixer hive, or fixer drone, or mender seeker, whatever skill that you're running, or an ally is running. So basically, it gives you 20%, I guess, more repair efficiency, incoming repairs, right? So where repair skills is two-way. So when you're running repair skills on your build, that's going to benefit repairs going to you, and it's going to benefit repairs going to an ally. If you were to send your fixer drone on an ally, he's going to feel that added strength. Now, if an ally is a healer and you're running incoming repairs, then he is also going to benefit indirectly because you're using less ticks. For example, if he's running a healer hive, then you're going to be using less of that healer hive, and that means there's more heals to go around to the rest of the team. So there is a benefit to the team indirectly, but for the most part, incoming repairs basically buffs the repairs that are coming to you. It doesn't matter if that repair is coming from your skill or an ally's skill, you're getting more of it. That's incoming repairs. And again, it only works for you. So I just created a 511 build. Actually, that's what it was. And it's I ran a max incoming repairs on it. I think we were running 120% incoming repairs. And by doing that, we get a whole extra bar of repairs than if we were to run just repair skills. So it really does pan out to be more heals. But it also pays out in time. So basically, it allows you to suck heals up faster, which means that you can actually take more damage per second as well. So I think in a perfect world, right, we would want to heal as fast as we are taking damage, and if you can do that, you can face tank, right? So that's really hard to achieve, but it is possible. And so that's the ultimate goal, and that's what incoming repairs attempts to do, is help you heal as fast as you're taking damage, if you can get enough of it on your build. Good question. I hope that helps you a little bit. But I look forward to some videos where I demonstrate that actually in the testing range and in the field. Squad 51 says the hardest gear to find seems to be whatever I'm looking for. Yep, that's true. That's true. Hey, does anybody think that the game's listening to you? Has this ever happened to you? Have you ever, been hanging out with your clan or your squad or whatever, in some sort of group play and say, hey, I'm looking for a police M4 and man, I just can't find it. And then like the next day, you get nothing but police M4s. Like this happens to me all the time. I swear there's some sort of like, I don't know, there's something listening in and picking up on those keywords and then dropping it in the gear. I don't know, maybe I'm just a conspiracy theorist or something like that, but let me know what you guys think on that if you experience that kind of behavior from your RNG. Let's see. So Niles says the Summit Legendary is the best, we believe the worst brand set in the game. A lot of people despise 511, and I don't blame them. I am part of that crew. But when it comes to gloves, the Death Grips are a must-have. So these gloves give you 10% armor on kill. Now, what I'm saying is that you don't only want the Death Grips, but you want the ones that have max skill damage on them. You want a pair of these so that you can roll on the skill tier, and then you can add this to all of your skill builds basically and get that 10% armor on kill, which is really valuable. And the reason why it's valuable is because you're not only going to get that armor on kill from your primary weapon, but you're also going to get it from your skills. Think about that. So when you're running a turret and a drone and 6 skill tiers, those things are shredding, right? Paired up with the capacitor, right? And technician specialization, whatever. And those things are going to be shredding. And so they're going to be helping you stay alive, right? Maybe get out of cover, depending on what build that you have. So the reason why these are valuable is because it's a single piece that gives you 10% armor on kill. So it's really efficient versus Belstone, which requires you to wear 2 pieces, or Badger Tough that requires you to wear 3 pieces, right? Or System Corruption that requires you to wear 2 pieces. So some of those give you more armor on kill, but they require you to have 2 pieces. Where if you want to max out your skill damage, then you may not want to do that. So that's why I like the Death Grips as a skill piece, because it's just really it's like it's 10% armor on kill in a nice little tight small package, right? So yeah, this is a must-have. Okay, and so if you don't know, the Death Grips are DZ only. So they're DZ exclusive. So when you see 511 in the DZ or gloves in the DZ, Dark Zone, then head over there and try to get your hands on these. Otherwise, you can farm named item caches, and you'll get these from the named item. As a matter of fact, that's how I got this pair, is from named item caches. And I've gotten most of my really good Dark Zone exclusive gear from named item caches. Probably 9 out of 10 pieces come from those. So that is the way to get your hands on Dark Zone gear, especially if you're not a Dark Zone player. So anyways, that's why those events are really valuable, Banditos, because they give you a chance to get those red stars and purchase some named item caches and get your hands on some of this good gear. Anyways, if I want to, I can roll on armor back onto this, or even weapon damage, depending on what kind of build I'm running. But being able to put skill damage and a skill tier on there makes it really powerful and gives my skills the ability to give me some armor. So, yeah. Anyways, so that's a really good piece. So William Crick says, Summit Legendary with a few directives turned on, definitely. Also play with multiple people with the same targeted loot. That really helps. Yeah, so he's circling back on the question about the Summit being the most efficient place to get gear when you're playing on Legendary. More enemies, more drops, higher odds of getting that rare piece. I totally agree. I think, you got more continuous gameplay in the Summit. That is one thing. It's and so it's like each floor isn't as intensive as a Legendary Stronghold is. So you can pretty much move through a lot of floors faster, therefore get more gear. Now it's not going to be a ton more. It's not heroic, but I think that little bit, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, makes a big difference when it comes to how much gear you're getting per hour. So, and yeah, when I have friends helping me out, when they're not farming for something and asking me what I'm looking for, they tend to get the piece that I'm looking for before I do. So I definitely recommend that. The buddy system, right? Use it. Yeah, good point there. Good point there, William. So let's see. Let's take a look at the next piece, which is number 7 on our list. So number 7 on the list is the Hollow Man mask. This is a golden Hollow Man mask. So the Hollow Man is also Dark Zone exclusive, if you didn't know that. It can be also rewarded, or I guess granted, through the named item caches as well, just like the Death Grips. So, but if you see masks as targeted loot for the Dark Zone, then that's one of the best times to get this gear. So it is a Y'all gear, which is a brand set that is exclusive to the Dark Zone. That's why this mask is exclusive to the Dark Zone. And sometimes you can see the vendors, the Dark Zone vendors, selling this as well from time to time. But this piece is really unique because it came with skill damage. And again, I got this one from a named item cache as well. And then this allowed me to roll a skill tier on it. And so the Hollow Man mask is unique in that it's the only gear piece that comes with 10% health damage. So the Walker and Harris brand set that you can get in the open world comes with 5% health damage when you run 3 pieces. This one gives you 10%. So really, really strong piece. So if you didn't know, the Chungas, Warhounds, tanks, weak points, all of that's health damage. This, and of course the red non-elites. So they take health damage. So when you're running this piece and you come against, for example, a red tank, so the tanks take health damage and reds take health damage, so he's got it double bad against you, right? You're just gonna watch that tank melt when you run this, especially when you pair it up with an assault rifle. Assault rifles come with 21% health damage on them as well. Is that right? 21%? I think that's right. And so that's a lot of health damage. So you will see me wearing this. It's featured on the video I just put out last week, which is called Build Recipe for Ultra Fast Time to Kill. And it's based on the capacitor. And it's a hybrid skill build. And it's a really, really good build to play in group or solo. I solo heroic for sure. I used it in some solo legendary, but I don't exactly recommend it for a solo legendary because you can have some ammo issues. You do rip through ammo. So, but it's great for group play and legendary and solo heroic for sure. But check out that video if you haven't. You will see this mask being used there. So Brandon says, yeah, that mask is non-existing for me. Yeah, it's not an easy one to find. Yeah, you're right. But, you know, when you see masks in the dark zone, you know, that's the time to get them, really. Otherwise, you know, you're just going to have to wait for the events and, you know, farm the heck out of those red stars, and you're going to eventually get it. I got about maybe 5 Hollow Man masks right now, 4 or 5 of them. I've probably had about 7 or 8 or 9 in my Division 2 career. So they do drop, and you know, I think I probably got all but two or three of those from named item caches. And so I feel like that it comes, you get it frequently. That and the Emperor's Guard knee pads, I get a lot through the caches. So yeah, they're not too rare, but yeah, you know, it's just gonna be dumb luck when it comes to getting one with skill damage on it. So my fingers are crossed for you. I'll make sure I sacrifice a lamb to RNGesus in your name. So Joseph White says he uses the Hollow Mask on a Pesty build. Yeah, that's a great idea. You are intriguing me with the golden variety. I like it. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of hybrid skill builds lately, but I just really like the balance of skill damage with weapon damage. You know, I just really feel like that, you know, the game offers a lot when you put those things together. But I'm also a run and gun build player too, so you'll see I go through phases, and you'll see in my video playlist that I have a lot in the SMG and shotgun variety as well. And then I go through assault rifle phases, and you know, and circle back around to skills. And then I go through my support build phases too, and you'll see me add those in. But yeah. So Michael Myers says, mine, talking about the Hollow Man mask, had hazard protection to use it with the backfire. Yes. Actually, one of my first videos to this channel is the strongest backfire build that uses this mask with exactly how you have it. I put hazard protection on it, armor, and then it's got the health damage, and then I put on bleed protection on it. And I call it the Chunga Slayer because Chungas take health damage, and you know, the backfire gives you all of that crit damage, so you can take his stingers, right, which is a hazard, the bleed from his stingers, so you can take some of that pain as he, you know, kind of gets in your zone, and then you could just mow him down with all the crit damage that comes off of the backfire. So yeah, really good build video. You should check that one out, guys, if you haven't. It's called the strongest backfire build, something like that, the Chunga Slayer. It says on the thumbnail. So let's take a look at the other one. So we're on number 8 here for hard to find gear that's worth the grind. And number 8 is the Golden Grupo. So Grupo gives you, everybody has got Grupo, right? So we all know this gear, but you know, the first attribute is why it's most popular, for that crit hit damage. But the second attribute gives you more explosive damage, which is really helpful for the artillery turret, the artillery turret, and there's actually a bombardier drone as well, but also for any of the explosive skills, so it'll help with the like the sticky bombs, for example. And so actually in the piece that you're seeing here, you'll see it featured on builds videos like Holy Hand Grenade, one that I made that's called a Holy Hand Grenade and Hand Cannon build. And also another one called the Rocket Man, where I'm throwing out a Seeker and then I'm hitting them with the sticky bomb, and I basically have no cooldowns on those skills. And it's really, really fun. It's sort of like a run and gun skill damage build using consumable skills. Really fun. But when you run 2 pieces of Grupo that look just like this, then you're getting more explosive damage. So you would run like 1 China Light, run Demolitionist and 2 of these yellow Grupos, and you're not losing any of that skill damage and skill haste potential by doing that if you ran Grupo as they come default, which is usually an all red version of this. So these are rare, not that rare. I would just play Grupo, targeted loot Grupo until you get something close to this. But you're mostly looking for that skill damage, skill haste, yes, okay. But skill damage, you want the skill damage already on it. If you can get that, then roll on your skill tier, and you're looking golden, pony boy. Elmo says, I use the mask, the Yaw mask, but not Hollow Man, the regular Yaw mask with 2 yellows and 1 skill tier. It doesn't have to be a Hollow Man. Well, I mean, that totally depends. It doesn't have to. Yeah, if you're looking for a hazard protection build and you want it to be yellow, then you're exactly right. But the way I'm running it, I'm specifically after that 10% health damage that only the Hollow Man mask comes with. And so that's the reason why I'm suggesting that you get a Hollow Man specific mask, because you're looking for that health damage particularly, not so much the hazard protection. But you're right, depending on how you look at it, if you want to run a hazard protection build or get that into your build and add some yellow cores, then yeah, you're right. It doesn't have to be a Hollow Man mask. Yeah. Joseph White says, yep, always keeping an eye out for that yellow Grupo gear. Yeah, you know what? Also, it comes in handy for, William Crick just said it for me. William Crick says also the Vial Mask. It's helpful for the Vial Mask. Very true. I was just going to mention that. So if you get this version, let me pop it back up here for you guys real quick. Golden Grupo, here it is. So if you can get the same version, but instead of skill damage, if you can find it with status effects also, then that is really good for the Hollow Man mask. If you guys didn't know, the Hollow Man mask is buffed by how many status effect tiers you have, attributes you have on your build, as well as your explosive damage. So the more explosive damage you have, the more powerful your concussion grenade is, and the Vial Mask's damage that it applies over 10 seconds is based off of the concussion grenade. So basically, the more explosion damage, then the stronger your mask is going to be. So yeah, find it with status effects, and it'd be a great piece for the Vial Mask. Thanks for bringing that up, William. James says, I've been trying to think of ways to use the Coyote Mask and the Pestilence, but I like skill builds, just don't have the capacitor yet. Yeah, you know, James, the capacitor is really easy to get. You just got to run the summon. I believe in a single session you have to rip through, I think it's 5 challenges. Might be more, but it was really easy. I think I got mine in a couple of hours. So, you know, I invite you to just burn through it. You know, and I don't think you have to play on any particular difficulty. You can play it on normal, hard, or challenging mode, so you don't have to even do it in heroic. So, yeah, you got to get the capacitor, man. Don't sleep on that gun. Don't sleep. I'm using it more than any other gun lately, because it's just like it's a shredder. And this last video I put out, that's called, I just mentioned it a few minutes ago, the build recipe for ultra fast time to kill. It uses the capacitor. Watch that video, because I actually break down why the capacitor is so strong and why people are sleeping on it. Because some people have the impression that it's not strong because it's got a smaller mag, and so because there's a subsequent reload in there, it will kind of throw you off, making you think it's not strong because you're reloading. And a lot of us evaluate how strong an assault rifle is based on how many enemies we can take down in a single mag. Now, because it's got a small mag, it's a little bit harder to do. So when you see the capacitor killing an elite in a single mag, you should be impressed, is what I'm saying. And so that gun is really strong. Watch that video, and I'll break it down why it's strong and why you need to get it. So don't sleep on that, my man. But as far as the Coyote's Mask with the Pestilence, you know, Pestilence crit builds, I'm not a big fan of that, just because, you know, I like to really synergize and play into the talents. And when you read that talent, it's, you know, on that weapon, it's really the talent Plague of the Outcast is only boosted by raw weapon damage or any form of that, so multiplicative damage as well as amplified damage of the base weapon damage. So crits don't help, but do they help you kill the enemy? Of course. You know, so when you're wanting to just, you know, crit the enemy down, then, you know, you're gonna want that. Or weaken him so that the Plague of the Outcast will finish him off, you know, for sure. So that's where crits do make sense. If you're just looking to just kind of run an LMG build and then throw on the Plague of the Outcast on top of that, that makes sense. But the problem with that is LMGs are quite slow when it comes to rate of fire, especially that one. And also the animation of popping in and out of cover is a little bit slower than if you notice how fast you can do that with an assault rifle. And so what that means is that you end up taking a lot of damage. And so I think that the Pestilence, I just think that for my playstyle and many others, it's more enjoyable when you have a fast recovery to go with it. I think a good example is when you look at the True Sons, right? They have their LMG guy. If you look at him, he's a tanky fool. You notice how hard it is to take down the LMG guy? He takes a lot of damage, right? And that's because he spends a lot of time out of cover, you know, going through those 100 rounds before he has to reload, right? And that's what you want to do. You want to be able to drop all 100 rounds without having to pop back into cover, because reloading and going in and out of cover is a really slow animation. So, anyways, so, you know, going max weapon damage and then building in some sort of repair skills and armor regen or something like that on top of it is a good thing to do with those secondary attributes. Anyways, that's just a piece of mind. That's a piece of my mind on that. But the crits are another way to go, and I see the reason why a lot of people do that as well. Elmas Latin says, I challenge you to make a build with ammo dump. Ammo dump. Is that the gloves? The Badger Tough gloves? Is that what those are? I think that's right. Maybe I will. Maybe I will. I'll take a look at that and see if I can come up with something. It'd have to be a couple weeks out though, because I'm pretty full on my content calendar here right now. So let's take a look at the next piece, which is number 9. And it's another gold. So number 9 is the Golden Belstone. So you see here, so Belstone normally comes with an armor core, as you guys know, and this has skill haste and skill damage on it. So that's how it came, which allowed me to roll a skill tier. So you can see this piece being used on my Slaughter build, which is a solo legendary hybrid skill damage build. One of the best builds out there. You have to try this one. I'm going to show these stats off real quick for you here. Look at this build that I'm running. Sorry, a little side note, but 104 kills, and these guys joined late, so so their kills are a little low, but unfortunately my face is covering this one. But if we see here, he had 87 kills. So yeah, this build's shredded. That's a negotiator's dilemma doing that kind of damage. So, you know. Anyways, let me pop this back up. So this is really good for skill builds, right? So like I mentioned earlier with the death grips, your skills can give you that armor on kill. So when you pair up 2 Golden Belstones with a Memento backpack, then you're going to be getting 1% armor regen. The Memento backpack's going to give you another 3% armor regen. So now you have 4% armor regen. And then you're going to get 10% armor on kill on top of that, whether you do it from your primary weapon or from your skills. So this is a really handy piece. And again, I recommend you get a version of this for every piece possible in your loadout. So one backpack that's all yellow, one mask, whatever. And that allows you to have a lot of flexibility in your builds. Again, I recognize we only have so much stash space. So I keep that in mind. And so, you know, I run full on all my characters. So, you know, don't take advice on me on which gear to keep and which one to toss, because I be deleting god rolls on a regular basis. It's a pain. Joseph White says, I have another pesty build with Striker. Yeah, that's another way to go. I really like that. I mean, boost that weapon handling, obviously, and then also the rate of fire, because that gun does have a lower rate of fire. And, you know, the faster you can pump that lead into the enemy, then the faster that Plague Outcast kicks in to its full potential, and the faster they die, and then the waterfall effect kicks in, and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's a good setup. Good setup. I know a lot of people actually run that and say good things about it. Squad 51 says, I use ammo dump on my raid build. Somebody tell me, remind me what the ammo dump is. Am I right? Is it the ammo dump the Badger Tough piece? Michael Myers says, I use an all yellow True Patriot with the capacitor, and it's wicked. Yes. I don't know if you caught that, Michael. I actually created a build similar to what you're talking about, called the Contender. And so I created Slaughter first, and then Balls Out Game Over build, which is a Foundry version, skill damage. And then I came out with the Contender, which is a True Patriot version. And it's a toss-up. It's a toss-up for me on which one's the best. But it sort of depends on your playstyle, actually. Because the Foundry Balls Out Game Over one, the Foundry version, allows you to play out of cover a lot more. And if that's your style, then you're going to like that one more. Where the Contender, the one that uses True Patriot, doesn't play out of cover as much, just because it relies on the armor regen, which is a little bit slower. So, but if you play from cover, then yeah, that might be your bag. But the build that I have coming out next week tops them all. I think it's going to be stronger than the Contender. So I put some posts out today in my community section if you haven't seen that. But I think this next hybrid skill build I'm going to drop for you guys next week. I'm not sure exactly which day because I'm going to squeeze it in no earlier than Tuesday though. But when I get it out, hopefully you guys agree, but I think it's going to be stronger than the Contender. So really look forward to this build because I'm running it right now and I am loving it. I'm clearing control points in seconds. I mean, just like, not seconds, minutes. I'm exaggerating, but really, really fast. It's like, I'm calling this build the perfect blend. Because all of these builds, they have really strong skill damage, right? With the 6 skill tiers and the capacitor and whatever, right? Really strong skill damage. So the challenge with these hybrids is getting your gun to feel just as strong as those skills. Now with this build that I have coming out next, the gun shreds the capacitor. It just shreds. I think it might even be stronger than the skills. And it's a 6 skill tier build with max skill damage. So that's amazing. You guys are gonna love it. I'm running it right now. And I think it's stronger than the Contender. So look forward to that. Okay, let's take a look at the next piece, which is number 10 on the list. So this is the last item of the 10 that I'm sharing with you today. And I do have more than 10 items. I want you to know that. But this is what I have today. So we'll do a continuation. So I also wanted to mention that if you don't know, I do classified builds. And classified builds are secret builds made just for TUX's Players Club, True, and Hardcore Bandito member levels. So if you want to tap into these, you can get access today by making sure you're at least a True Bandito member level. So click the join button below. Right below this video, there's a little join button. So click that and join the TUX's Players Club. And you also get access to members only streams as well. Also, I should say, anybody looking for like-minded peeps, check out the TUX clans. PC and PlayStation clans are popping thanks to some great leaders and banditos. So we're looking to open the Xbox clan as well. I'm on the Xbox myself, but I can't run it just because I'm busy managing this channel and the community. But I'd definitely be involved and participate. So if you want to get involved to any of the above, PC and PlayStation clans, or help start the Xbox clan, to be sure to hit us up on Discord. That's the place to be, is my Discord. Okay, so let's take a look at this last piece here, which is the golden improvised gear piece. So we're looking at a pair of knee pads here, but I'm suggesting that you have something like this for your knee pads, your gloves, and your holster. So what's interesting about this piece is you see that I'm running status effects, skill haste, and a skill haste mod. This is actually stronger than Hana U, and Hana U is a brand set that gives you 10% skill haste. So if you were to compare this with a Hana U knee pad, you will find that this has 2% more skill haste than Hannah you would give you. So it's actually stronger than the skill haste brand set out there. Anyways, you will see this on my max blind build, which is a signature TUX build and one of the funnest crowd control builds in the game. It's different than Eclipse Protocol in that this one uses consumable skills. It's really built around the blinder Firefly, and it has 0 cooldowns with max status effects duration. So in order to pull that off, you're going to need these improvised golden pieces, and they also make sense for skill damage builds too when you're looking to max out your skill duration as well as skill haste for your skill damage builds, like if you're using a seeker mind build or how much armor you're wearing, right? So when you have 1% armor regen, it's 1% of your armor, no duh. But makeshift repairs is not related to how much armor you're wearing. It's related to how much damage you take. It's based off of, it's a percentage, what is it, 20% of the damage that you took. It's going to give you back that armor over 15 to 20 seconds. So it actually makes a lot of sense to run a 4-piece all red foundry with weapon damage and crits, you know, and run like the Memento backpack or something like that for a little bit of armor. But yeah, so foundry makes a lot of sense. I like what you're saying. I like what you're throwing down there. I actually have that build and I run it. It's pretty fun. Alex Volkov says, Game Over is a beast even at base level. Try it on legendaries. It's crazy. Alex, listen to me here, buddy. So I cannot agree more. And I know it's my build, so I'm tooting my own horn here. But let me tell you why. When I ran Balls Out Game Over, the Game Over, which is a Foundry skill hybrid build, if you guys don't know, got to check it out. But when I ran it, I cleared that legendary District Union Arena. I cleared it on my first try. And like I was just saying the other day, it wasn't, I didn't just beat it. I had like a Mai Tai in one hand and my controller in the other, and I was diving ducking, and I never spilt a drop of my Mai Tai. It was amazing. I walked through casually through District Union Arena using the Game Over build. It's really amazing, guys. It does play best if you force yourself out of cover and push up on the enemy, and then kind of know when to pounce spells, just like Game Over. Is that exhilarating, right? High risk, high reward. So you have to run up to the enemy, basically in their face, stick a shotgun in their face, and then pull the trigger twice, while there's 3 other enemies standing there, right? So it's a lot of high risk, a lot of reward for that, and it's exhilarating. You're on the edge of your seat the entire time. Your adrenaline's kind of going, right? And you're just having a freaking blast. And anything that in these outer cover running gun builds, they require you to have good moves, right? So I'm showing off my dancing moves, right? I got my dancing shoes on, tucking and diving and rolling and juking. So those builds are a lot of fun. Anyways, it's not just shotgun builds. That's just one example. But like anything with a Vector, an SMG, something with a high rate of fire, you know, are a lot of fun. Also with the M1928, I put out a build with that. It's where I was hitting crits in the millions with an SMG, which is pretty amazing. So if you haven't seen that one, you should definitely check it out. But yeah, so I like those builds a lot. And so if second to that, I would say that max blind build. Again, that's my signature build, but it's a lot of fun. You're really active. It's not like a turret build where you throw out your turret and you kind of sit there and you shoot and, you know, you kind of stationary. The max blind build, you're running and gunning also, but you're just tossing out these consumable skills. And because you have 0 cooldowns in that build, you're constantly throwing out these skills. So you know how when you like have this wave of enemies coming at you, right? And then let's say there's 5 of them, and then you stun them all with the blinder, and then 5 more come out just behind them. Your blinder's ready again, and you hit that group as well. Now you got 10 people, and then another group of enemies comes, and then your blinder's ready again, and you hit those people. So now you have 15 people blind. It's a lot of fun. It's just like an SMG shotgun run and gun build, except you're throwing blinder fireflies. So anything like that where you're kind of on the edge of your seat and there's a lot of action and you're into action, I really love those kind of builds. And I think you guys will too. I think they're a lot of fun. You know, I know there's some relaxed players that don't like the run and gun because they don't like to die, and I don't like to die either. I don't like to die, but you know, high risk, high reward kind of thing. So, you know, for what it's worth, I think you should give those builds a try if you haven't. So, Vaughn Jacob says, how about a status LMG build? Yeah, it's been done before. Not by me though, but I know some people have built in some pestilence, like Eclipse pestilence type builds. I know that's been done before to kind of like, you know, this whole max, get all sorts of ticks coming from all different directions on the enemy. You know, yeah, I could see about something. I could take a look into that. Michael Myers says, was thinking of a future DPS with healing while playing from cover with the backpack talent, damage, and cover. I think you're talking about future initiative when you say future, right? So I agree. Actually, I've been kind of stashing some of those pieces away for a build. When it comes to mine, I haven't actually worked on it yet, but I've just been saving the pieces. So yeah, I've been getting some future pieces with crit damage and whatnot. So I tinker it, and sometimes I do that, and I'll run the build and find that I don't like it. It's not that impressive, not worth sharing with you guys, even though if I did create it. If you guys, if I don't think it's fun, if it's not fun and different, then I'm not gonna share it with you. Because like for example, you know, when I see somebody running like a Hunter's Fury build and they put the backfire on it, you know, if I ran that build, yeah, I'm not gonna make that build for you. It's been done. And, you know, I'm not saying that we shouldn't recycle builds. I'm not saying that. I'm just, because I know that there's a lot of new players and you guys aren't going to see these videos that were created 6 months or a year ago. And so I'm not saying there's anything wrong with recycled build videos, but I'm just not doing them right now because I have too many builds that I'm working on that you guys need to see that haven't been seen yet, that haven't been done yet. I'm working on 7 builds right now that you have not seen on YouTube. So, you know, so when I exhaust my list, then I'll start showing you guys some recycled builds. But, you know, we'll get there one day, maybe. But what I'm hoping is that we'll get that new content first, right? So, you know, some suspect it might come in December. Some suspect that new content is going to come in February. And when it does, it will be coming with new exotics at least. And fingers crossed, we'll also get some new named items and some new brand sets, which if the pattern is that they've provided those things for us when they dropped new seasons. And so I hope they'll do that this time coming as well. Why doesn't Hunter's Fury work with the Pestilence? I'm not sure what you mean, because it does work. Not that I suggest you use it. Hunter's Fury is based off of it works, you know, when those buffs that you get, that weapon damage buff, right? And the status effects is all based off of the enemy being within 15 meters. And when you're running the Pestilence, you might be playing between 15 and 25 meters. And the reason why you're playing that deep is because the gun doesn't have the rate of fire or the reload time to be pushing up on the enemy super hard. So you're kind of stationary, you kind of park it and just kind of spray the field, right? So that's the only what I can think of. But I don't know what you mean. You might be mentioning something else, and I'm not catching your drift. So John B says, I don't think matchmaking is working. I'm not sure it is either. I mean, it's working. I mean, we were matchmaking in this video. It took a few minutes, so we got to the second, third wave before, or checkpoint before somebody jumped in. This is today, so I don't know. It's been working for me, but it's been a little bit slow. You know, it's a little bit slow, but that's typical. I think when we're at the back end of a season like we are now, right? Then it's always slow. In the front end of the season, it's things are popping and you matchmake a lot faster. But I've been seeing a lot of higher watch levels lately. I mean, a lot higher. Yesterday I was playing with, you know, in a group that we were all over 3,000, if I remember right. And so I think we're starting to see a lot of returning players. So I don't know, buddy. So Michael Myers saying, anybody having game freeze issues? My game has been freezing and forcing me to restart. What platform are you on, Michael? Are you on the PlayStation? I know some people have been having issues on the PlayStation. It's not me. Hey, if you guys haven't already, be sure to hit the like on this video. And subscribe if you haven't. I appreciate that. And join us on the Discord. If you're a Discord person, we'd love to have you. A lot of great conversations happening there. Hook up with teams, but also, get into some good build conversations. We have channels there for you to discuss your builds, to show them off, or to get some good ideas from us. Also, if you are a member, which many of you are here on the stream today, thank you for supporting me and the channel. I really appreciate that. And if you're not a member, definitely be sure you hit the join button below and become a member today. You can do that for just $1. But if you want access to those classified builds, remember you have to be a true Bandito or a hardcore Bandito member level to get access to the classified builds. And you want those builds. You want those builds. Those are very special builds, and a lot of fun. I put a lot of heart into thinking up of some creative stuff for you guys, because my job is to make sure I keep you entertained until we get that new content, and then I'll entertain you beyond that too. So also I am starting the second channel as well. We will be covering the entire Tom Clancy universe. That includes XD and Heartland. And so for those of you asking me for those PvP builds, and I've been putting you off, I have, because for me it requires a different style of build, and my stash is so full. So it's just like I can't hold any more gear. But also I'm going to be dedicating a lot of my efforts into PvP when Heartland drops. So when you want to see some of that action, then look forward to that. And I believe that game is gonna drop sooner than later. I bet before the end of the year we'll be all playing Heartland along with the Division 2. So look forward to that. But the second channel is going to be covering some of that stuff, as well as Battlefield. So that'll be the only game I'll be covering outside of Tom Clancy in this near future in 2022. So look forward to that. And so I'm not promoting it yet, but when I do, I will make sure you guys have links to my second channel as well, so you can catch me on that end. Michael Myers, thank you for oh, you're a hardcore member. Michael, my man, thank you. Thank you. Much appreciated. It's worth it. So hardcore members get access to the classified builds, and also will get front row seats to my mini-series, Division 2 mini-series, build mini-series. If you guys haven't caught any of those, I do have a playlist dedicated to my Netflix style Division 2 miniseries. Now, we got season 2 coming, actually, and in the fourth quarter you're gonna start seeing that stuff drop. So we're in the fourth quarter, so we're just probably about 3 weeks away from the start of the next season. So look forward to that. But we're running to the end of our time here, so if you guys have any questions, drop them in the feed now, and I will get to them before we say adieu. Oh, so you are in a PlayStation. Oh, no, I'm reading somebody else. So Bendito says, PlayStation crashes. I had to delete the game and upload it again. Maybe that'll work for you. Give that a try. Oh, Michael says he's PC. Huh. Well, things are easier to manage, I imagine, on the PC as far as debugging the system by, removing the game and whatnot. I think console players are limited to what we can and cannot do to debug a system. So I don't know, for what it's worth. Question from left field, please. Are you a musician? No. Have I dabbled in musical instruments? Yeah. So I took piano lessons as a kid, played the violin, did the clarinet. None of those really stuck with me. And in my later years, I picked up the ukulele. I taught myself how to play the ukulele by watching, YouTube videos. So great place to learn things, right? Huh? So yeah, no, but I don't consider myself a musician. I am just really, I guess, enjoy hobbies, and so I really enjoy playing the ukulele. sitting by the bonfire and stroking the guitar or at the beach, whatnot. Bend Over More. Funny name, brother. Funny name. Bend Over More. Hilarious. What is the recommended incoming repair and skill repair ratio within Vicious Shield? So it's always going to, the incoming repair and repair skills ratio is always going to be 1-to-1. Never more than 1-to-1. I think is a better way to put it. You never want to have more incoming repairs than you do repair skills. So if you have 20% repair skills, match it with 20% incoming repairs. And so I feel like anything less than 35% protection from elites is not really worth it. If you're going to run less than 35% protection from elites, just forget about protection from elites. So let me see. Who was that again that asked the question? Was that... that was Bend Over More. Okay, so you don't have access to this 511 build video that I put out, which is a max incoming repair, but in that one I actually ran a test where I ran 120. I originally ran 120% incoming repairs with 160% repair skills, and then I removed some of that incoming repairs and put on 35% protection from elites, and it actually performed close to how incoming repairs was working, but it was less effective. So I found you're either gonna need to go all in on incoming repairs or go all in on protection from elites, or go greater than 35% protection from elites to make up for the difference in what incoming repairs would do for you. So when the repair skills is there, incoming repairs is gonna do more for you than protection from elites will. And it's going to apply to more than just elites, right? Also from non-elites. So that's what I found. That's how I opened the video. I said, actually, you could go to my community tab right now as we're talking. And if you look at my community tab, there's a post I put out where it shows me standing in front of a Riker who's on a turret. And he's nailing me with that turret, and I'm just standing there, taking it, and he never takes me below 80% armor, and my armor regens back to 100%. It drops to 80%, back to 100%, up, down, up, down, up, down. I'm just standing there, and I say in the video that it looks like I'm running max protection from elites, but I'm not. I'm running 0% protection from elites. But so that's what incoming repairs can do for you. It can do just as much as protection from elites does, if not more, when you have it maxed out. And that's what we proved in that particular video. So J1364 says, is there a build you could use the Acosta go bag with and have loads of them? Loads of what? Loads of grenades? Loads of fun? Let me know what you mean by loads of. It looks like you might have cut off there, but the Acosta go bag, it's been a while since I've used it. Actually, it does pair up nicely with that max blind build that I mentioned before, because when you huck that grenade, you get the the overcharge, right? So yeah, but with the, I agree, Alex Volkov, it does need a rework, the Acosta bag, because the Memento just, I'll be honest with you guys, it's hard to run any backpack other than a Memento nowadays. I know some people don't like it because in group play, people can steal your kills, but even then, just having those 3 cores and then eventually you get your full trophies, I mean, it's just such a powerful backpack. I mean, think about it. Unstoppable Force is just part of what the Memento does, right? Bloodsucker is just part of what the Memento does. Combined Arms is just part of what the Memento does. Now, granted, all those things can happen faster or last longer than a Memento. I get that. I'm exaggerating a little bit here, but it's just such a powerful backpack, especially when you really play up those short-term buffs. When you really can take advantage of those, which is going back to that question somebody asked me, what kind of build that I like to run. Those run and gun builds, right? Or the builds like Game Over. those builds allow you to get out of cover and snatch those trophies. And when you do, you're a god in this game, because those short-term buffs are so strong, stronger than any other backpack talent out there. So any build that allows you to play off of those short-term buffs, you're having a lot of fun in this game. Hunter's Fury allows you to do that when you play Heroic especially, right? So let's see here. Winnie says 50% protection from elites is probably minimum. I agree. It's also probably, I would say, suggest maybe even maximum in many cases too, Winnie's. Like a 50% protection from elites is that sweet spot, especially for heroic content. If you're doing a lot of heroic solo, try to stick around 50%. Now, if you have the room, if you have so much damage, and I have builds like that. I have a build called, that I put out about 4 weeks ago, called Very Hard to Kill. And it's where I show you 3 builds, maybe 4 builds, but that are based off of a series of protection of elites and variations of that. But 50% protection from elites is a really good place to be, and I demonstrate that. But when you have so much damage, you can then look at more survivability. That's when you go over the 50%, unless you're putting together, some sort of protection from elites, tanky sort of build. And I have max protection of elites build where I stick around that 1.1 to 1.3 million armor, and that's a good place to be. Run it with an SMG, and as long as you have good moves, you can be out of cover. And I like to run it. But the thing is, you guys got to realize is that protection from elites alone will not keep you alive. You have to have the heals, the regeneration go with it, right? The fast and the stronger that is, the faster it is, the longer you can stay out of cover. So yeah, look forward to that. Michael Myers says using Mad Bomber with these yellow grupos is especially good with the fire grenades. I agree, actually. I'm looking to create a really interesting Mad Bomber build. I kind of put it on the back burner, but because I got some other builds that I'm working on that are really exciting, you guys need to see. But I'm going to circle back around that and hopefully come up with a really interesting Mad Bomber build for you guys that you guys will have a lot of fun with. Thanks for mentioning that. Oh, he's saying you have a lot of go bags. Yep. The Coastal Go Bag, Jay, drops a lot, right? You get it in District Union Arena and any of those. Who is it? I think it's the Outcast that bag drops. Is it Outcast or Hyenas? Can't remember. But yeah, it drops a lot in Washington, D.C. John B. asked, do you know if survival game made its own by a person that left Division 1 and that is why we don't have that mode in Division 2? I don't know, but I know people have been asking for it, man. People say, give it survival mode, and for some reason they don't drop it. Maybe, but I think it's because they don't want it to compete with itself. They don't want Division 2 to compete with Division 1. They would like to, because there's hardcore Division 1 people and there's that didn't migrate over to Division 2. And so they don't want to kill that game, I think, when you have some competing content like that. I don't know. I'm totally speculating. I don't know. But we've been speculating ourselves and definitely asking for that. But LD, you're back. I don't know if you've been here the whole time or if you're just not joining us, but good to see you, my brother. He says, can't wait to see what you come up with next, Tux. Yeah, next week's going to be a busy week, everybody. Make these my closing remarks here. That next week we're going to have a declassified build for the public. So for you people that aren't members, I will be declassing one of the members' builds so that you guys can see some of this cool stuff that these Texas Players Club members have been running. And then we're also going to see this new hybrid skill build that I'm saying is possibly better than the Contender, what I'm thinking. And we're calling this build the Perfect Blend. So look forward to that. I'm suspect I'm going to drop it on Tuesday. Might be Wednesday, just depending on how production goes in the making of that video. And then we'll be doing a members only stream on Thursday again. I might change up the time. I'll let you guys know. But I want to try different times because I know you guys are in all sorts of time zones, across the world. We got you folks down in Australia. We got some in Germany, a lot in the UK and the US. And so I want to make sure I change it up and so that I can include all of you guys. So, and eventually we will find that sweet spot where everybody can attend. So we'll be playing with some time zones. And again, I will be adding more live streams to the weekly calendar as we proceed. So, and then next Saturday, we'll be doing another open live stream for everybody in the Division 2 community like we're doing today. And so if you guys have any great ideas on what you would like to talk about next week, then drop those suggestions in the comments, not in the chat. Well, you can definitely chat about it, of course. But please drop it in the comments section so I can review the comments and try to pick up on some of your ideas. Nothing is taboo, so if you have any great ideas, definitely be sure to let me know. I would love to take in you guys' input. Okay, I think that's it for tonight, guys. I really appreciate you kicking it with me. I had a good time kicking it with you, and sorry we had a little technical difficulties as we kicked this off. I didn't realize that I was unplugged on my mic, but glad we resolved it. It's always a pain in the butt. Until next time, I will see you next week, folks. Ciao.